how you going? All right, so now it is time for a Q&A about my characters. All the Q&As before this were just about me in general as like an artist or just as a person. These are like specific to my characters or my canon universe, which it basically is a whole universe at this point. So first we're gonna start with the Instagram questions. So first question is, Stevie, what's her backstory and personality? So I would say that Stevie is generally just a workhorse kind of character. She's the youngest of 5 siblings who are all older brothers. So she and her parents were both military parents, so she's definitely just follow the orders kind of person. But she does have a certain technophobia that makes her less cool with androids. She finds them a bit freaky because she grew up with all humans, and she sees emotions as a very raw and natural thing that when a robot tries to appeal to her, or an android tries to appeal to her, it doesn't really work. She doesn't love androids. I would say that she's also a bit of a bottler, like she bottles her feelings, but that's probably just because she was raised with boys. Obviously, everyone is kind of a result of their upbringing, and Stevie is not exempt from that. But she's definitely got a lot of personality because she is from a big family, so you have to be loud, you have to be strong, which means that she makes a good commander. So another question is, have they watched Megamind? And I would say that they probably have not watched anything that we have watched, because this is a thousand years in the future, maybe even more, just for reference. So that would be like an artifact almost. Which one was your favorite design? Every character has gone through an evolution, especially the old ones have gone through probably more than one evolution. There hasn't been much of a change for Stevie, except for the style that I draw her in. And maybe that's because she's just supposed to be plain, because she's a main character that you're supposed to insert yourself into, so she's just a human. So I guess I would say that Stevie is probably my favorite design because I never felt compelled to change anything about it. This one is actually a question for my character, which there are a few of. And this one's for Arya, and somebody asked what her favorite color is. And Arya is obviously like very, very like light color palette with these beautiful crystal blue eyes. So I would say that her favorite color is crystal blue because it matches her eyes. Do you ever let friends, followers give you inspiration, ideas for characters? Yes, absolutely. I tend to gravitate towards my friend, The Missing Links, who has been in multiple of my videos. You guys will recognize him as having green hair in some of the earlier ones. But he's just super imaginative, and he's kind of been on my journey of character creation since high school, which is when I started making characters. He actually helped me create Jean, and I think he also helped me create Dante. So all these characters, just so if you guys don't know, are for a comic that I have yet to make. I refer to this comic, and I don't always clarify that it hasn't been written yet, but like world building does take a really long time. Obviously it doesn't have to take 4 years. I'm just deciding to take the slow route because a lot of good things can come from like a slow boil, like a really good pot of spaghetti. When I found out that like before J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, all of the details and the world building was done years before she even started writing. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of a Rowling sort of tactic, but with less trans-exclusionary radical feminism, you know, pretending that a character is black when you wrote them to be white and stuff like that. I'm not going to do any of that, is what I'm saying. So somebody asked, will you show us the comic? The answer is, it does not exist. So, sorry. Who's most likely to rob a GameStop? This is a great question, because I do have some bad characters that are just innately bad and are never good. So it would be easy to say that like any of those characters could rob a GameStop, but Piper, who is on the good side, she was raised by pirates basically, and so she probably has robbed GameStops before, or whatever the future equivalent of a GameStop is. So I would say that maybe Fong, Talia, and Tam are at the top of most likely to rob a GameStop, and then we've got Piper right underneath them, for sure. Do any of your characters have rivalries or any want to destroy each other? In this story, there are two opposing forces, but there ends up being more like 3 going at each other, and I don't want to reveal too much. So I'm just gonna leave it there. Not a question, but Forrest's new design is cute. Thank you. I've been drawing literally only Forrest, trying to ingrain the new design into my memory, but I also agree that it is really cute. I thought that before she just was too stereotypical gray alien almost. Like she has no nose, she has the big black oval eyes and green skin. It was just too predictable. Does Arya have a crush on anyone? So she probably is one of those people that kind of just gets a crush on anyone who's nice to her. She just seems a bit like a hopeless romantic to me, but she doesn't have any decided love interest yet. This is the last Instagram question. So what would a perfect day be to you for any OC? I think I'm gonna pick James on this one because I just recently decided that he's the Canadian character because I had written an entire book and hadn't made any of my characters Canadian. If you don't know, I'm Canadian, so that felt a little weird. And so his perfect day would probably involve a lake with lots of trees and not so many people, maybe a boat. You got yourself a choice Canadian day. I'm ready for these YouTube questions, guys. Who is your oldest OC? Technically, Soleil is the oldest because he's an android and he's from before the first android revolution, which didn't really result in a revolution, but it was an uprising. So yeah, he's from before the first robot uprising. Very old. I was just editing this and I realized that question could be taken 2 ways. Which one of my characters is the oldest character, or which one is like the oldest character, like how long ago did I make them? So I'm gonna answer it the other version of the answer, which is my oldest OC. And when I was 15 in summer school, I created Arya. So she is my oldest OC, but she's not the oldest OC. Very confusing question. Never ask me that again. Who is the least favorite OC? I would say that my least favorite OC is probably Lily, or because she's the youngest sister and she's kind of like just one-dimensional. Like I didn't really flesh out her character that much. Like Daisy actually has like something going on, but Lily just like she has the motivation of just she cares about her sisters. That's it. Not really a personality, but that's my own fault. Like I feel like if you have an OC that's your least favorite, you can just change them to be better. So you shouldn't have a least favorite OC, basically. What inspired your favorite OC? So I was really inspired by Samus because she's this like high ponytail, sexy goddess who basically covers her entire body with this huge mech suit and kicks ass. And the first versions of Stevie, she was actually in mech, and I still want to go back to that because I really like how it looks. If you can probably tell by her design that she was inspired by Samus. How did you come up with your OCs? What's your most recently made OC? Alright, so my way of coming up with OCs is always like very sudden, like it just sort of comes to me that I need this character. Basically, I'll just find a character that has a quality that none of my other characters have, and then I'll make the character off of filling that space. So I needed a mechanic, but I also didn't have any characters with facial piercings, and I didn't have any characters with tattoos. So I decided that the mechanic, Dolly, would have tattoos and piercings because she fills those 3 empty spots. With the janitor character, who's Ezra is the only non-binary character, but I made them to fill the void of non-binary character and janitor. And I gave them a birthmark on their face because I realized that I had other characters with birthmarks, but none that were bigger than just a spot. And there are birthmarks that cover up a larger area, so they fill that space as well. I just think, what's missing from my story, and I make a character based off that. What I've been doing recently. So I think my most recent OC created was probably Ezra. What would Jean's room look like? What would Jean's room look like? So Jean is a hippie. If you guys didn't know, he loves poetry. He loves tea. He loves being super duper high. And so his room would probably be covered in plants and probably a couple tapestries, some just huge posters for bands that he likes, and there would probably be a lot of incense holders, stuff like that. Hippie clutter is my favorite. What is Arya's favorite food? So that's an interesting thing, because making a food for an alien is like making an entire culinary culture that doesn't exist. And that would involve a lot of world building that I haven't really gotten to. That's the small details. That comes at the very end. But if she was eating human food, maybe pizza. She would probably really like pizza. Who doesn't like pizza? What type of music does Feng like? Feng probably wouldn't like music. And I don't want to say that just to discourage anyone who like is like, aw, but I thought she was cool. She is cool. But I think that she wouldn't like music purely based on the fact that a human would have had to make it. If there was android music made by androids for androids, she would probably listen to it, if you know what I mean. She's a bit of a purist. And that is the last question. Really good one to end off on. Thanks so much for all of your amazing questions. They were so specific, and you guys are really pushing me to do a lot of very intricate world building, which I love. The next video is definitely going to be a sketchbook tour, because I've been filling some pages. Maybe something else. Who knows? Stay tuned. Who knows? It might be a singing video. It might be a sketch, because I kind of want to start making sketches. Maybe even about my characters. You don't know. You know, there's always surprises on May Is Not Okay. Oh, I wonder if they'll post this month. Probably not. See? It's always a gamble. You never know. So what I'm basically saying is subscribe to May Is Not Okay on YouTube, May Is Not Okay on TikTok, May Is Not Okay on Instagram, Twitter. I don't know if you can subscribe on Twitter, but if you figure out how, do it.